There is another lawsuit that we are here to talk about, a very unexpected one at that. So you guys remember some time ago we were dealing with the subject matter of the supposed lawsuit of Sugisa, where she was threatened that she would be sued if she continued to speak about the thingy, about the Church of Revelation. Then we spoke about Brother Enigma coming from Pastor Mukuba. And then we spoke about the Daystar lawsuit over the last 3 days. So from Solomon's Temple, where he was talking about a supposed lawsuit concerning the Waymaker hitmaker Sinach. This was quite an unexpected one, but I thought behind it there is also something to learn around that when it comes to the kind of people that we work with, but also it also speaks about what kind of relationships we build, and it speaks about being walking, about how we walk in our journey and allowing our heart to not stray us so far that by the end of it we just don't know where we are. To be very careful concerning that particular journey. Structured show, daily Christian commentary videos. If it's your first time over here, be sure to check out some other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I'm gonna check you out over there. So, in short, basically, I'll just summarize some of the things that are in the article and so forth. So I saw about 4 different articles concerning this particular subject matter. And I think one was come from Punch or something like that. This couple of articles, I hope I showed you a screenshot of one of them. Now, in some of this, some of the credits of what is being said in the article is that this particular man who was involved in some part of the production state of the song that you have now, which is Waymaker, he is claiming that he is owed royalty payments, and he is claiming that he is owed performance payment, which is a very weird one for me. You know, it's one thing when they are recording and stuff like that. It's one thing to want to be paid for what they are doing in their performances when they get called out. It's a very weird one. It's a very, very weird one. Now, some time ago, we got the news about pastors who were attacking the Waymaker song. If you remember that, they were claiming that Waymaker was not a biblical song. And their claim came from the fact that they thought that they were the Waymaker. It came from that particular angle. I thought that that was a very weird statement to make. It was also a very weird thing to claim, basically. And so we dealt with that. And so we thought, okay, that's pretty much it. Maybe we are done here. Did we know? Hey, producer will come out. Now, this particular person, according to the article, they are saying that was definitely involved, but in the mastering of the song and the whole 9 yards. Now, I don't know if in the mastering of the song, he was involved in the contribution of the lyrics in the song, or contribution in the instrumentals of the song. I don't know about that. Now, if he was involved in that part, it makes sense for him to be included in the royalties and so forth, or based on whatever agreement they had. Now, there is something called a split sheet. A split sheet is it's paperwork that they do for each and every song that they make, and it's submitted to kind of like your samples and what was to say who gets what when the royalties of a song come out. Now, also, it brings up the subject matter of the contract that they have concerning this working relationship, particularly for that one project, right? And so someone might work on one project and not work on the entire album. So he worked on some parts of this thingy. The parts that I read, they kind of like labeled him as part of the mastering. Now, mastering is after the song has been done. So, and also they do state that his payment agreement was $300. So he wanted to be paid $300. Probably wanted this for credits for his work. And also it would speak volumes to say he was part of that particular project. But there is something that I was thinking about when I was thinking about this whole thing when it comes to how our heart can lead us. It reminded me of the story of Jonah. When Jonah is given a message by God. He goes and he delivers the message, but he feels entitled to the message, or he feels like the message is his own to a point where he overcredits himself. So he sits in waiting for the city to be judged and so forth. And God rebukes him in that. Is it not him that decides life or death? And why is it that now you are taking offense? And one thing you learn from the story of Jonah is that as the prophet, as one of the prophets actually say, the heart of man is terribly wicked. Who can know it? It means that the heart can lead you in a certain path to a point where by the end of it, that's where you realize, oh my goodness, I've been going the wrong route for all this way. Which is why when you see airplanes, they say if an airplane just took small trajectory wrong, just small, by the end of where it's going, it will be in a completely different country. If it just turned a little, and it continued in that path, the longer it goes in that route, it will be going completely different. So it might be going this way, but if it just turns a bit, by the end of that road, it will be in a completely different space. It's the same with the heart of man. Now, notice, it wasn't talking about the heart of a wicked person or the heart of a righteous person. No, he said the heart of man. So this is the state of the heart. After the fall of man, the heart is in a state where it can mislead one your entire complete way. And you only realize it at the end. You only realize it at the end. I remember watching a particular story on CBS Reality one time. And this particular story was about a young guy, under 20. This guy obsessed about a rumor in his village that his grandfather was his father, because it painted him a certain way. Oh, your father is old, what. And he obsessed about it. And when he was approaching his 20s, he decided to do something about it. He decided he was just going to kill his father, and that was going to be it, okay? And it wouldn't change his genetics, it wouldn't change who he was, but he figured it will solve something. And he goes out, kills his father, he kills his grandfather, and the police decided to do a DNA test when he was in court, and they said, Chief, he was your grandfather. He was not your father. It was just a rumor. It was just a rumor. And the rumor had eaten him up, and his heart was in such a state by the end of that route that he could not, you only live by regret, looking back to say, that's how far I've gone. I've made such type of decisions for people that have taken me in, and you can't take that back. Our heart can completely lead us, and we find ourselves to a position where thinking. Now, that's why I mentioned the Jonah situation. The Jonah situation is that his heart had led him to a place where he felt like a certain judgment would make right, basically. He had this mindset around what the word that he was given by God. And so it completely skewed his path as he was walking. He became very bitter at the end of it. And the verse ends like that. The book ends like that. Now the question is, if you're in the position of Jonah, what do you do? At a time when you have something to do, when you can correct that path, correct when the time is still there, instead of just waiting it out. Sometimes we just want to wait out the problem. And by the time you wait it out, at the end of that, there's nothing to fix. It is completely ruined because it has lingered for so long. It has ruined so much. And so by the end, if that particular thought that you had was right, you were right, but you didn't fix nothing. And so you just completely ruined that entire route or that journey. Instead of course correcting, at the end of it, you just have a rotten fruit. You don't have fruit. You have a rotten fruit. You've gone that route. Decide to fix. If you think about this entire situation that we're talking about, of the Sinach guy, by the way, he's suing Sinach, I think, for 5 billion naira. Now, I don't know how much that is. It sounds like it's over 40 million. I thought, wait a minute, where does he come up with numbers like that? But anyways, only he knows. You can come to a point of self-entitlement to how much work you've done, to a point where you overcredit yourself, especially if you turn around and look back. So if he sits there and he thinks about, okay, over the last 10 years, this song has just been gaining Sinach prestige and whatnot, and it has given it this entire position. And then you look at your 10 years and you're like thinking, I was involved in that project, but you forget your credit rights, right? And then you credit yourself more than what you were, because that's not what you contributed to. You can build a bitterness over that. You can build a bitterness over that. Your heart can lead you into a certain path that you ought not to have gone. Our heart can lead us in a state of pride or whatever you may call it, and it can lead us into a state where we don't realize we haven't corrected nothing, we haven't fixed nothing. All we have done is we lingered within the problem that we saw. We didn't fix nothing, we didn't sort nothing, and at the end, it has completely ruined everything. And so, for him, it can lead to him never having work again, because now he overcredits himself. If he overcredits himself, God forbid I get a good song with this guy, because at the end of the day, he overcredits. A person who overcredits themselves, you know, even though they were just in the room. I was in the room. And so they can come to a point where they feel like, wait a minute, there was that time I said that tone. And because I said that tone, the tone was used. So, but they overcredit themselves in areas where they are not. Because why? When they look back, the success of what they claim they worked on is bigger than where they see their own success. Must be very careful of things like that, because it takes away from the credit. It's like this guy called Nota in South Africa. He credits himself in other people's work. And so he's probably done this in his head for so long, to a point where there was one point where he was crediting a certain song and he said, no, this is a sample from a song of mine. And people were like, but dude, that does not even sound like nothing like what you're saying. It's because in his head, he's overcredited himself. Overcredited himself. And as a result, it has ruined his entire path. Because even when he's right, people just think he's always overcrediting himself. And so it makes a very stale work relationship. There's an actor by the name of Vatiswa. Vatiswa came out, spoke about a certain work relationship, and after that, work started to dry off, As talented as she was, work completely dried off by the end of that. Why? Overcredit. Okay? Our heart can go a certain path, and it seeks out something. And by the end of it, you feel like, okay, no, I'm not being credited for yeah, while you're obsessing about being credited for that, your work here, now, in the present, is nowhere. Yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. I thought this story was quite a telling one. I'll give you an update if there's any particularly concerning this particular story, but we should be careful where our heart leads us when it pertains to certain things, because if there is error, we may only find ourselves at the end of that having resolved nothing. It's Ricky's Reality Show. Other episodes down in the pinned comments. We course correct and we keep it moving. If we overall obsess about one particular thing, it can stale everything to a point where we just don't realize it has corrupted everything. And before you know it, there's nothing to work on. It's Ricky. I'll tell me your thoughts down in the comment section, and have a good day.